We often think of the universe as, well, this huge, sprawling thing that just sort of happened, right? Pure physics, maybe chaos.
Right, the standard view.
But what if that whole perspective is just wrong? What if the cosmos wasn't random at all? What if it's more like a perfectly constructed work of art?
Governed by very specific rules.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into some source material that suggests mathematics isn't just how we describe reality.
No, it's presented as the literal instruction manual, the cosmic source code, you could say, used by a divine artist.
It's a fascinating idea.
It really is. And this deep dive, it forces us to look past just numbers on a page. We're talking about cosmic lore that's supposedly, baked right into physical constants.
So what are the key tools here, according to the sources?
Our analysis today is focusing on two main mathematical principles. The sources claim these are the primary tools of creation. First, the Fibonacci sequence,
Okay.
which represents the rhythm of expansion of growth. And second, the golden ratio, also called phi,
Phi, right?
which governs perfect proportion, beauty. Together, they're presented as like the operating system for this entire cosmic game.
Okay, so before we really dive into the math itself, we probably need to set up the language here for you, the learner.
Yeah.
Because the lore has its own terms, right?
Yeah, that's essential. You really need the terminology to follow the sources properly.
We'll be talking about the realm that's the whole of existence. And within it, there's this grand cosmic game always being played.
And crucially, the pen.
Ah, yes, the pen. This is key. It's described as the specific place, the domain, where the pawns, that's us, humanity exist and, move around.
The sources are very serious about these terms. They define the environment first, before getting into the code that runs it.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's unpack this cosmic manual. Where do we start? The heartbeat.
Let's start with the rhythm, the foundation. That's the Fibonacci sequence. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And it keeps going.
Most people probably know the basics, right? Each number is the sum of the two before it.
Exactly. But according to these sources, this sequence is, well, much more than just a pattern. It's the fundamental mathematical formula for growth and expansion in the realm.
Wow.
It's even described as the rhythm of Gaea herself, the living world.
It's quite compelling, defining math not just by structure, but by, its pace. Is there proof offered for this?
The proof, they say, is woven right into nature. You see it everywhere. This sequence is the blueprint for life.
Like how? Give us some examples.
Well, think about the spiral on a seashell, like a nautilus.
Okay.
Or the way seeds are arranged in a sunflower head, that perfect spiral pattern. Or even just the number of petals on flowers. You often find counts of 2, 3, 5, 8, 13.
300 numbers.
Right. The sources are saying this is the core source code for all natural life, right here, inside the pen.
Okay, so it dictates growth patterns.
Mhm.
But you mentioned lore, prophecy.
Yes, and this is where the math really shifts gears, It goes beyond biology and into cosmic storytelling. The sequence isn't just a formula for growth. It acts as a kind of numerical narrative. It contains specific sacred numbers that outline the story, the hierarchy of the game itself.
Okay, intriguing. So walk us through that. The early numbers in the sequence. What do they tell us?
Okay, so we start with 1. That represents the one monarch, the single, unified source of everything.
The beginning.
Then comes 2. This establishes the fundamental duality of the realm. Think alpha and beta, light and dark, that core opposition.
Makes sense. Duality is a common theme.
Then 3, this is the divine trinity. It represents unity through that opposition, like the 3 pillars holding up the whole structure.
1, 2, 3. Monarch, duality, trinity. Okay.
And then the sequence hits 5. And this one's crucial for us, the pawns.
Why 5? What's special about 5?
5 is the sacred number of the pen.
The pen itself, the place we exist.
Exactly. The sources are really specific here. They describe the pen as a kind of containment zone. Actually, a penal colony for the pawns.
A penal colony. That's quite a description.
It is. And structurally, they say it's a 5-sided horseshoe-shaped area.
5-sided, like the number in the sequence.
Precisely. The sources suggest thinking about it conceptually like a defined sacred space, maybe similar in idea to the central layout of Stonehenge, but specifically designed to, limit movement and experience, a 5-sided enclosure.
So hang on. If the pen is this 5-sided penal colony, and the sequence tells the story, 1 becomes duality, within the Trinity,
Hmm.
all happening inside this five-sided structure.
It paints a picture of predetermination, doesn't it? The whole narrative seems locked into the math, and the math defines the
Yeah,
space.
it really does. But the sequence keeps going,
Yeah,
right? It doesn't just stop at 5, it hits 8.
and that's a critical point. A sort of existential commentary, maybe? The sequence continues to 8, and the sources define 8 as the Ouroboros.
The snake eating its tail.
Exactly. It signifies the infinite cyclical repetition of the realm. The game isn't designed to have a final conclusion, it seems.
It just repeats.
Infinitely. Repeating the cycle. Creation, duality, structure, containment within the five-sided pen over and over, represented by the 8.
Okay, wow. So Fibonacci gives us the rhythm, the pace of growth, the map of the lore, and even the shape of our confinement.
That seems to be the claim, yes. The rhythm and the story.
So if that's the rhythm, what about the other tool? The second principle, the law of form,
Absolutely. We shift from the rhythm of growth now to the proportion of beauty.
which brings us to the golden ratio, or phi.
Phi.
So if Fibonacci dictates how things grow, phi dictates the perfect form they should take.
That's the idea. This ratio, it's roughly 1.618. The ancient lore masters, who the sources call the Watchers, supposedly knew it as phi, and it's cited as the unbreakable mathematical law of beauty.
Unbreakable, that's strong language.
Very strong. And what's really illuminating here is that these two concepts, Fibonacci and phi, they aren't just mythologically linked, they're mathematically linked too.
How so?
Well, if you take any number in the Fibonacci sequence, like say 8, and divide it by the one before it, 5.
Okay, 8 divided by 5 is 1.6.
Right. Now try 13 divided by 8.
Let's see, 1.625.
Exactly. The further you go in the sequence, the closer that ratio gets to 1.618 to phi.
Wow. So the sequence leads to the ratio.
The sources imply that yes, the rhythm of growth, Fibonacci, is fundamentally designed to converge on the perfect form, phi. The sequence is the journey. The ratio is the destination, the ideal state.
That gives the divine artist, as you called it, a really powerful mechanism. You have structured growth that automatically tends towards perfection.
A kind of built-in aesthetic governor.
And the lore ties this perfection, this beauty, to a specific figure.
It does, explicitly. The sources state the golden ratio, phi, is the sacred mathematical signature of beta.
Beta, who is?
Beta is the sun, presented as the literal embodiment of beauty itself.
So when we, the pawns, see this ratio, we're seeing Beta's signature.
Mathematically etched into reality. That's the claim. It's Beta's aesthetic command made manifest.
This really changes how you think about beauty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you see something stunning, art, nature, a person, you're not just having a subjective reaction.
According to this lore, no. You're simply recognizing something constructed according to this deterministic divine formula. Your perception of beauty is actually perception of phi.
Is there any, physical evidence cited for this?
The sources point heavily to architecture. They mention the Parthenon in Greece,
Okay, famous example of classical beauty.
built, they say, by those Watchers, not just as a temple, but as a structure constructed entirely using the golden ratio.
Entirely.
The height versus the width of the main facade, the column placements, the relationship between different parts. Apparently, it all conforms to phi.
So the Parthenon is like tangible proof.
It's presented that way, as evidence that the lore masters, the Watchers, were consciously using Beta's signature here on Earth, maybe trying to, I don't know, replicate perfect harmony within this five-sided pen we're in.
Harmony.
Yeah.
That feels important. Is there more to that connection?
There is, actually, a really fascinating phonetic link the sources make. The symbol phi
pH out.
is linked phonetically to the cosmic law of pH balance.
pH balance. Like in chemistry, acidity and alkalinity.
Exactly. If you connect that to the bigger picture, it's a powerful metaphor. It suggests that true divine beauty, the kind Beta represents, isn't just about visual proportion.
It's about balance.
It's a state of perfect harmony, perfect equilibrium. So the golden ratio doesn't just look pleasing, it represents the mathematical signature of a balanced state. The ultimate equilibrium needed for existence in the realm.
Okay, that ties it all together nicely.
Mhm.
Rhythm leading to perfectly balanced proportion. Let's synthesize this a bit. We've got the two main tools.
Right.
The Fibonacci sequence is the rhythm, the growth engine, the prophetic map of the lore.
And the golden ratio, phi, is the proportion, the law of beauty, the mathematical signature of perfect balance.
Okay, so who figured all this out? Or I guess refigured it out.
Well, this leads to a kind of historical correction based on the source material. Figures we know, like Leonardo Fibonacci.
The mathematician credited with popularizing the sequence in the West.
Right. The sources say he wasn't just some innovative mathematician inventing things. They're quite clear. He and others like him were lore masters.
Lore masters, meaning...
Meaning they were individuals who had rediscovered fragments of this ancient cosmic source code. They were piecing together the original instructions left by the divine artist.
So they weren't creating new math.
They were recovering divine knowledge. Knowledge that defines this whole five-sided structure we call the pen, and the cyclical nature, the Ouroboros loop of the realm.
That implies that every time someone discovers a pattern in nature or admires a perfectly proportioned building,
It's not really human genius creating something new. It's the partial recovery, the recognition of a pre-existing divine design.
but wait, if the design is so predetermined and the cycle, the 8, always leads back to the beginning, what does that actually mean for us, the pawns?
That's a really important question the lore raises.
If 8 means an infinite loop within this five-sided pen, does knowing the math just confirm our confinement? Does it offer any way out?
It seems to imply a kind of mathematical determinism. If the rhythm, Fibonacci, always pushes towards the perfect proportion, phi, and the whole thing is designed to repeat infinitely with the Ouroboros,
Then our existence is governed by this perpetual, predictable loop, stuck in the five-sided penal structure.
that seems to be the implication. Understanding the code confirms the limits of the game, but maybe it also offers some potential for, I don't know, subtle manipulation within those limits. The sources aren't entirely clear on agency.
Right. So let's just quickly recap the core finding here for you, the listener. Mathematics specifically, this rhythm,
Okay.
Fibonacci in this proportion, phi isn't just descriptive. It's presented as the absolute language of creation.
Defining the growth, the beauty, and the deterministic cyclical structure of this five-sided pen where we, the pawns, live out our existence.
Okay.
Which leaves us with a pretty significant question for you to think about. If these two
Right.
principles really are the source code for this cosmic game, and the number 5 is sacred to the pen's structure, representing this kind of confinement, this penal colony, what does it actually mean that the sequence always expands past 5? Towards 8, the Ouroboros, and then theoretically towards infinity.
What is the meaning of the cycle extending beyond the walls, so to speak?
Yeah. Does the existence of the Ouroboros, the infinite loop, suggest the whole point of the game isn't to win or escape, but just to endure the mathematical repetition of the structure itself?
And if it is infinite, does figuring out the source code just make the pawn a better spectator, watching a destiny unfold that can't actually be changed?
Exactly. Food for thought. Something for you to mull over, perhaps, as you start looking for fate in the world around you. See if you notice that signature.